Whoosh, what a day it is today. Thanks so much for tuning in to Act 3. We are delighted that you've joined us. On today's episode, we've got a whole lot of different mishmashy kind of stuff that we hope that you will enjoy. But one of the most important things we're going to talk about today is taking care of some of the people that we might not think we can take care of. So there is going to be a section of our show today that we hope that you'll take a really close pay attention to, because you just might be a hero for someone in need. I also want to let everybody know that it is May and we have one more episode in June before we take a little bit of a break to come back in September with some great shows. But I thought I would give you a little bit of a warning because I know that you miss us and we certainly miss you. Another thing that I want you to know as well is that there's a lot of great holidays happening during the next couple of months. If you get a chance to spend time with your family, please make sure you do. Your family loves you, and so do we on Act 3. Thanks for tuning in. Grab yourself a beverage. We're going to get started right now.
I'm sitting on the edge of love and happiness. Never experienced such a moment as this. So if you got that good feeling in your body and you want to bring this moment to life, come with me, we'll hit the town. Let's go right now and live the life. I just want to shine like the sky up like a sunset, living with no regrets. I just want to shine.
Thanks so much, Kathy. Now we're here with Scott Ferron from Helmet Head Canada, who's going to tell us a little bit about the wonderful work that he's doing here on Vancouver Island. Scott, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. It's great to meet you and to meet your friend next to you. So can you tell us a little bit about your friend that's next to you right now?
Animal is, this is rendition number 5. He is based off of a Elmo model, and he has just transformed over the years into Animal.
He's very handsome. Thank you for bringing him along. But we're not just here to admire him. What is the purpose of Elmo, and what is Helmet Head Canada?
The purpose of wearing these on a motorcycle is twofold. One is to bring awareness to the charity that I run, Helmet Head Canada, and we provide toys to 13 centers on Vancouver Island. And the offshoot of that is it's a safety device. Ever since I started wearing these 8 years ago, I haven't had a close call since.
That's fantastic. I think that's a great dual purpose. But let's talk about your first purpose.
Sure.
It's an amazing thing that you're doing, trying to provide toys to kids all over the island. How did that start?
It actually started out with a bad idea. My friend Josh and I saw these crazy things online, and we ordered them thinking this is going to be stupid, but fun. And it started becoming more of a fun thing to do all the time rather than just once or twice. It became recognizable. People started wanting to become a part of it. It started growing, and then the offshoot of that was we started discovering that hospitals weren't really getting a lot of toy donations. So we thought it would be fun to incorporate that helmet into kind of a themed delivery service.
That's fantastic. And really the toy donations are what are at the heart of what you're trying to do.
Yeah, it's really, it's hard to put in few words because the need is so huge. To my last count, there was 1,100 kids on Vancouver Island that are in various stages of care. Some are terminal, some won't make the summer. Some are on weekly treatments that are exhausting to the kids. So the need is huge. And to be able to bring a smile to a kid that's having an absolute horrible time is really what brings life to my soul.
Well, I think it's an amazing, amazing thing to do. And it's one that obviously is bringing a lot of smiles to those kids and their families. And I think to a lot of people who see you driving down the road with your helmet on as well. Now,
yeah.
What was it that inspired you initially to do this?
It was when I discovered that there wasn't enough donations going to the hospitals. The donations are so few and far between. A lot of the nurses and doctors have to do a lot of the legwork and the logistics behind a toy donation. What a lot of people don't know is that to go from toy store to kid on a gurney is an incredible amount of desanitization, transport, repackaging, resanitizing, movement. There's so many hands involved. So one of the things that I do is I eliminate all of that. I gather the toys, I sanitize them, I rewrap them, and then I place them in a sealed bin. That sealed bin goes to the hospital. When it's cracked open by the nurse or the doctor, it's ready to give immediately. There's no work involved for the actual staff in the hospital.
That's fantastic. And it's something that makes such a difference to the hospital staff and to the kids. You know, this is a cause that's so moving. It's something that I'm sure people would love to be involved in, and listeners here on the show would love to know how to get involved. How can people get involved?
So I have a website, helmetheadcanada.com. This year we're raffling off a custom chopper. It took a year to build.
Wow.
And that's going to be one of our main fundraising events for basically buying toys and delivering them throughout the year.
So how can people buy those raffle tickets?
So you can go to the website. There's a link on the website. It's helmetheadcanada.com. And then there's a link down there at the bottom of the page where you can be able to buy the raffle ticket.
I've had the chance with you just outside a moment ago to see the bike, and it's very exotic. So I'm sure a lot of motorcycle enthusiasts will want to take part in that. But if people aren't wanting to buy a raffle ticket, how else can they become involved?
So there's a couple of ways. You can go to the GoFundMe fundraiser that we have ongoing. You can also go to Mastermind Toys and purchase the toy directly and then put it in the donation bin. And starting in June, we'll have a Stuff the Truck event at Duncan Dodge.
That's excellent. And if people just want to see you riding around in your helmet, are there any opportunities to do that in the next little while?
Yeah, we'll actually be doing 2 parades. One is going to be this Saturday, the 13th, in Esquimalt, and that's going to be the Buccaneer Parade. And then the next one will be on the 22nd, Victoria Day. I think that one goes from Mayfair Mall to the Empress.
Fantastic. Scott, thank you so much for being here, and thank you for all the great work you're doing. And I hope everyone will go to helmetheadcanada.com and see how we can all get involved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Over to you, Teresa.
Do you have a pharmacist in your health and wellness plan? Well, here today to tell you why you should is Mel Askaraga. He is an owner and pharmacist with the Medicine Shop at Departure Bay Road in Nanaimo and also in Parksville. Mel, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much, Teresa.
It is really important to have a pharmacist and to know your pharmacist. Can you give us a little bit of a background? Why is that important?
It is important to have a pharmacist in the healthcare team because pharmacist's role has changed over the years. Traditionally, we are confined in the dispensary preparing medication and then counseling patient on the use of the medication. Now, there's so many roles that we played, and we are involved in many aspects of the patient lives, and we try to be more personal with our patient.
It's definitely important for you to know the background of the patient and the information that's best suited for them if they come and ask you for advice.
Yes, it is important to know their details, like their medical conditions, their family history, so that we can understand better how we can provide a more personalized service or personalized care for the patient.
Now, I think more than ever, because of the shortage of family doctors, and some of us don't even have a doctor, it's really important that we can go to the pharmacist and ask questions and even get some basic prescriptions filled or refilled.
Yes, it is actually good that the government has recognized the pharmacists for additional or expanded roles. Now we can do vaccinations, or we can even give injections into the muscle or under the skin. We can renew prescriptions until the expiry of the prescription, and it has extended for up to 2 years now, provided that the medications have been with the patient for at least 6 months. And we also, we're quite excited now that beginning June, we will start prescribing medications for minor ailments.
That is such a huge thing, as I know people who don't go to the doctor or delay going to the doctor because it's hard to get in or they don't have one, and then now they can come to you, the pharmacist, and get some of those prescriptions that they really need, and they don't have to suffer.
Yes, there are certain conditions that we are allowed, or we will be allowed to prescribe, like for example, for skin conditions, for minor urinary tract infections, as long as we did our own assessment. And then if in case after the assessment that the patient require a prescription from the family doctor, then we will refer the patient to the doctor.
Like I remember a time with your wife, Kristen, who's also a pharmacist, an owner with you. I ran into the medicine shop because I had a rash on my face. And I was concerned about it, but I didn't really want to go and sit at the emergency for many hours if it was just a minor thing. So I really liked the fact I could go in, you knew me, Kristen knows me and could advise me. And in that instance, I did go and get it looked at because that was the diagnosis from the pharmacist, and I appreciated that. But sometimes it doesn't have to be. It could just be something that's simple that you could help with.
Yes, because we usually, what we do is before we make recommendations, we do make assessment, whether it is something we can recommend a non-prescription medication, or if we think that it requires prescription, then we will refer you to the patient, to the doctor.
Well, I certainly appreciate knowing my pharmacist, and I would encourage people to get to know their pharmacist, because the pharmacist can really, really provide such a great service and work hand in hand with a family doctor or other healthcare professionals.
Yes, and we are quite happy that at this point we are recognized by the public as part of the healthcare team, and we provide something more personal for our patient.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Mel, for joining me. I'm really glad to have you, and I'm glad to let people know that they can go to their pharmacist for a number of health and wellness issues. Now I'm going to throw it over to Jeremy. He has got a very important guest and information for you, so please stay tuned.
Thanks, Teresa. I'm here with Jeff Shepard, a program manager with AVI Health and Community Services. Hi, Jeffrey. I understand you're going to teach us a little bit about naloxone kits today.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here, and I think this is really important information that everybody should know. Take-home naloxone is a program that was mandated by Canada, but in BC, we can access this really important life-saving medication in a lot of different places. What's super great about naloxone is that it's easy to use, it's accessible, and with just a little bit of training, anybody can administer naloxone, reverse the effects of an opioid overdose, and save somebody's life.
Jeff, can you show us what comes in a naloxone kit? It's a little scary for some folks, and we'd love to see the
It
inside.
sure is. So these are the naloxone kits you're going to be able to find at any participating pharmacy, including Mel's Pharmacy down in Departure Bay. You can also access them at AVI, Health and Community Services, where I work. You'll notice on the front of these black cases, you've got an expiry date, always worth checking out just to make sure the medicine you're working with is current and ineffective, or actually effective. In the kits, you're going to have your actual naloxone vials. You'll have 3 syringes. You'll have a face mask, some gloves, an alcohol swab, a piece of paper that you can fill out if you ever have to administer naloxone, which you can return to a participating pharmacy or to us at AVI. And you've got a handy little sticker that shows you all of the steps that you're going to use if and when you need to administer naloxone to somebody. And just so everyone knows what it looks like, I'll break these vials out of these containers and line them up here for you.
Jeff.
That's what you're going to get in a naloxone kit.
Jeff, who might need a naloxone kit? Why would someone get one?
Well, I think that everyone should have a naloxone kit. Here in Nanaimo, we are obviously faced with a lot of houselessness and a lot of people who might be using drugs. But more importantly, when we take a look at the data, we see that the people who are dying due to overdose, specifically due to overdose from the toxic illicit street supply, it's people who we don't know that they're using drugs. It's young men, they're between the ages of late 20s to early 50s, they're housed, they're working, probably in the trades, And these guys are using substances alone and they're dying. And that tells me that all of us need to be carrying naloxone because it's our dads, it's our brothers, it's our boyfriends or our husbands, it's our cousins and their buddies. And they don't feel like they can get help right now, or they don't feel like they need to ask for help because they're not like those people and they've got it under control. But that's just not the case. And if you've got naloxone and you find someone who's experiencing an opioid overdose, you can save their life. You can be a hero that day.
Jeff, are naloxone kits dangerous? Is there anything I'd have to look out for if I tried to give it to somebody?
I mean, there's a sharp in them, so there's definitely a pointy needle, and that comes with some risks. But as far as naloxone as a medication, it's not dangerous at all. With the exception of some very rare hypersensitivities that exist in a very, very small portion of the population, I could administer naloxone to you standing here right now, and given that you don't have any opioids in your system, you barely even feel it.
Excellent. Where can people get a naloxone kit if they'd like one, Jeff?
Well, like I said, any participating pharmacy will carry them. You can visit towardstheheart.ca to find a list of participating locations. But if you're here in Nanaimo, us at AVI, we're more than happy to distribute naloxone kits, teach you how to use one, or teach you how to teach other people how to use them. And if you'd like to engage in that training, please visit our website at www.avi.org.
Jeff, is it a long commitment to do the training? Like, would it take me weeks to learn how to do it? About how long would you say the course is?
Not at all. It's super accessible and super easy. You'll be done and dusted with us in an hour or two.
And just to be clear, you're telling me that in an hour or two, I can learn how to save a life?
Absolutely, you can.
That's amazing. We really appreciate the information. I noticed a couple of other small pieces in here. Are any of those something I should know about?
Well, one of the most important parts about addressing an opioid overdose is rescue breathing. What actually causes damage to a person when they're experiencing an overdose is the lack of oxygen hitting the brain. And so we've got a CPR mask in these kits that provides a protective barrier between you and the person you're giving rescue breaths to. I also want to quickly point out the red kit that I've got here. And this is a similar product. It is still naloxone, but it exists in a nasal format. So it's a little bit less scary to administer for someone who might be afraid of needles. These are a higher barrier product to access, but if you visit St. John's Ambulance, they'll give you some training on the internet and they'll send you a kit with 2 free nasal naloxones.
Jeff, when you say nasal naloxone, does that mean that they would inject it in my nose?
Well, it's not an injection. If you've ever taken Flonase or like an allergy mist that you spray up your nose, it works very similarly to that.
That's amazing information. Thanks for showing us all how we can save a life. And don't forget, you can get them at ABI.
Thanks so much for having me, Jeremy.
Thanks, Jeffrey.
Thank you, Jeremy, and welcome once again. I'm your host, Kevin Wagner, and I'm joined today with 2 fine gentlemen from Reconciliation Theatre here in Nanaimo. It's Tom Rokeby and Dan Pulas. Thank you both very much for joining us today.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for having us.
Tom, I might just start with you. People might not be familiar, our viewers might not be fully aware of Reconciliation Theatre here in Nanaimo. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it and kind of how it came to be?
So Reconciliation Theatre had its birth as a play reading circle. We were taking a lead from a course that was offered at Elder College at SFU a few years ago for Canadians to take a journey through reconciliation by exploring the plays of Turtle Island. And we took that idea and we curated our own list of plays that we thought would be a great way to show local people some of the strengths and some of the touchstones in the Canadian, kind of the canon of work in this area. And we got together and we just started reading them as a group. And I think it was really appealing because people are hearing these stories a little bit differently now. A lot of them aren't new stories. Some of them are 50, 60 years old, but you know, we are hearing them with fresh ears. And I think that's really been the appeal of the circle. And then from that energy, we were convinced once that COVID ended and live events returned, that these shows needed an audience locally. And that we had great energy and the right talented people to pull them off.
When you speak of talented people, Dan, you're one of those talented people, a former student of Tom's, I understand, and you were, I think, there from the very beginning, for the most part.
Yeah. I was in Tom's drama class growing up, from like grade 9 to grade 12. I even started teaching a little aspects of his class as a peer tutor. Probably didn't take it as seriously as I should have, but it's fine. But yeah, Tom reached out to me, what was that, 2018-ish, around there, saying that we should get together, we should just start reading more plays, more theater stuff. And since I was doing my course up at VIU, and I was just really involved in theater, so I was like, yeah, let's get it started. And we started meeting every 2 weeks.
Yeah, about that.
About bi-weekly to just read whatever script was presented to us, and it was a fun time.
And I think you two were describing to me how, like, it was a very inclusive theater group at high school. You were kind of carrying on the tradition of what you had established at in the theater program at school, it seemed to me.
Yeah, and you know, the community that Barsby serves had a lot of talented Indigenous kids as enrolled at Barsby. And so as those kids came through the program, made a home in it, built the program with me, they didn't lose that passion once they left the school. They really just didn't have anywhere else to go with it. A lot of them went up the hill, a lot of them have been working with local theater companies. But this was a chance to kind of take an initiative together in a direction that would give them a lot of opportunity to work.
Sure enough. And it evolved from that kind of circle reading group you described into a first production, which I think was last year, which was a relatively successful first show for a theater company. It was a Sam Sheppard play, is that right?
Yeah, Sam Sheppard's True West specifically. I acted in it, Tom directed, and my best friend / brother also acted in it. I played Lee while Damon Mitchell played Austin. And it was fun. It was he casted it perfectly, as he says.
Dan was in it. It was perfect.
No, if it was perfect, I was in it. That's all that matters.
Well, and you're moving into the second production for the theater group as well, and that is coming up this month. So tell us a bit about what you have to offer this year.
Yeah. So currently we are working on the production of Berlin Blues by Drew Hayden Taylor. It's practically a bunch of Germans show up to an Ojibwe reserve, and they want to build an amusement park thinking it's going to help the economy of the reserve while also kind of stripping them culturally. It's a really fun sitcom-like play with a lot of outrageous characters that live on this reserve. It's going to be a wonderful time, especially since we're starting next week officially.
Oh, sure enough.
Yeah.
So it's coming right up. That sounds like a bit of an exciting timeline, but it's interesting. You might not expect knee-slapping comedy from themes such as this, but this Indigenous playwright has found exactly that by the sounds of it.
Well, and Drew Hayden Taylor has explored this German phenomenon of being obsessed with Indigenous culture, kind of what our local viewers might recognize as a Renaissance fair. Germans participate in as an Indigenous fair, and they will get together and they will wear traditional costumes and they will learn dances and they will take part in crafts. Mr. Taylor has actually created a documentary called The Search for Winnetou, where he goes and explores this line between cultural appropriation and celebrating something that you actually really appreciate. And I think he explores that same line in this play, but in a really funny way.
Sure enough, the way you two were describing it to me earlier, it did sound very comical. Again, maybe not what you would expect given the material, but we can look forward to seeing that then towards the end of May, I think. What are the dates and where can people find information on how to see that?
May 25th, 26th, and 27th. That's a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night downtown at the OV Arts Center. That's at 25 Victoria Crescent in downtown Nanaimo. We're using Eventbrite for advance tickets. That's our platform. So you can search us up, Nanaimo or Berlin Blues, Reconciliation Theater, you'll find us. We also are happy to meet people through our Facebook page. And there generally is, it's a small venue. You might take your chances, but good chance there's a ticket for you at the door. Yeah, you take a bit of a chance, though.
Sure enough. Try to get your tickets ahead of time.
Yeah.
It's only 3 nights, but it sounds like it'd be a really good show. And
it's a small, intimate venue.
Yeah, which is a great way to view theater.
That's right.
Yeah, good deal. Well, thank you both very much for joining us. I'd encourage our viewers to go and see this, and then maybe we can start looking forward to production number 3 when that time comes. But
for sure.
For now, we'll stay focused on Berlin Blues. And thank you once again for sharing. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin.
All right. All right, well, once again, we're with Tom Rokeby and Dan Pulas, and I'm going to kick it over now to Kathy and Abigail.
Well, That's it. Another fabulous episode of Act 3. I'm gobsmacked that it's already done, especially because there's a whole bunch of really cool stuff still happening in May. And I brought Abigail on set with me to talk to you a little bit about what she's doing for Mommy Day. And by the way, I know that Mother's Day is already past by the time you get to watch this, but I also recognize that every day is Mother's Day, every day is Grandma's Day, every day is Daddy's Day, every day is Family Day. What kinds of cool things did you do for your mom this Mother's Day?
Well, I've made a card and a cool little trinket.
A trinket? What kind of a trinket? You were saying something about the popsicle sticks and the, oh. This is being filmed actually before Mommy gets to see it. So let me just tell you that I can't tell you everything. So what I'm hoping is going to happen as a result is that this surprise is a surprise that you will have already enjoyed. On today's episode, we talked about a lot of really important stuff. We talked about being a hero, and we talked about being a friend, and we talked about supporting people. But I think one of the most important things that we are doing in this community is we're coming together wherever we can to support any cause that we can that makes a difference. I want to take a shout out today as well to the Act 3 family. Not only do we have an amazing crew, but we have amazing support from Shaw Studios to ensure that this show comes abroad for you. And so we hope that you liked it. You know, to our new hosts that joined us today, Elspeth and Jeremy, you guys did a grand job. So thank you so much for that. And we really do hope that if you are really tuned in to share something with the community, you'll get out there and roll up your sleeves and get on with it. Because I know people like Abigail, who's one of our oldest and longest volunteers, loves to do the very same thing, so we always include her. We are delighted that you joined us today, and we hope you have a fantastic May. We'll see you next time on Act 3.
Shine.